This is a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on December 3rd, 2025, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Karen Latin, and I serve as the chair. Today's hearing is being broadcast live on Xfinity Channel 1072 and is being recorded for the on-demand archives available on the town's website. It's being conducted in person, by phone, and by video conference. The agenda, instructions on how to attend, and copies of documents for review are posted on the town's website. To all participants, whether attending by phone or online, please remain muted unless you've been recognized by the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're attending by phone, you can mute and unmute by using *6. If you are online and you are not a commissioner, please keep your camera turned off unless you've been recognized. Indicate that you wish to speak by using the raised hand feature. So we have a record of a quorum. I will now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Paul Johnson.
Present.
Janet Williams.
Present.
Elise Gordon.
Present.
Eric Hilbert.
Present.
And Bob Del Vecchio is unable to attend today. I'm here, and we've established we have a quorum. Is there anybody who would like to make any announcements, comments, or future agenda items for anything other than the properties on the agenda today? You may comment on those properties when they're being heard. I don't see any hands. Any commissioners? Okay. Before we begin the agenda, Bradford, are there announcements of any requests for continuances today?
Yes, we have one continuance request for 124 Mooncussers Lane, which is a certificate of compliance. They've requested a continuance to December 17th.
Perfect, thank you. At this point, Bradford Bauer, Chatham's Assistant Conservation Agent, will now lead us through the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First up is an amendment to an order of conditions. 70 Meadowview Road South, Kyle and Patricia Lissact, map 10D, parcel 16-S15, SE 10-3668. Proposed addition, attached garage, and reconstruction of deck with mitigation. Amendment is to add invasive management and restoration, rearrange approved mitigation and redesign the driveway, add retaining wall, redesign the front entryway, and retain approved rinse station.
Great, thank you. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, good afternoon. Teresa Sprague with Blue Flags Design here on behalf of the Lissacks. We did submit an updated plan with the rinse station removed, and we had no comments or questions about the draft order.
Perfect, thank you. Any commissioners have any additions, changes? Perfect, then we can have a motion, please.
I move that we close the hearing on 70 Meadowview Road and approve the amended order of conditions as written.
Second.
Okay, Elise?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. That's approved. Thank you. The next, please, Bradford.
Next up is a request for determination of applicability for 7 Bucks Lane, Lori and Vincent Sansone, map 8A, parcel 5S-1, R-25-15. This is for an addition to a single-family dwelling.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm John O'Reilly. I believe the owner and applicant is online as well. We're here today for a request for determination. Ms. Sanzoni and her family are looking to update the second floor of the dwelling. There is currently habitable space on the second floor, and they're looking to expand out the 2 dormers. And we are looking for a small increase of footprint in the west side of the building that is not within the flood zone. The addition will be over existing step and landing into the house. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. I did give you a construction protocol as part of my narrative. We are dealing with a land subject to flooding. There is no work proposed within the actual flooding area other than staging on the existing paved driveway off of Harding's Beach. as well as the paved driveway off of Bucks Lane. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Any commissioners have any questions, comments, anything?
Just to clarify, so there's no other resource areas within 100 feet of this area, just the floodplain?
That's correct.
So I kept looking for buffer zone lines.
Yeah,
and
no.
And it's like, I don't see any, so, okay, so
And they weren't.
the only impact is the temporary impact on that paved driveway that you're going to use for staging?
That's correct.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else? All right, then I think we can have a motion to approve, please.
I move that we approve the request for determination of applicability with a -2 determination for 7 Bucks Lane.
Second.
Okay, Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet? Aye. Elise?
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. Okay, Bradford, next, please.
Next up is a notice of intent application for 784 Orleans Road for the town of Chatham, map 11J, parcel 6-6, SE 10-3729. This is for the enlargement of boat and trailer parking within land subject to coastal storm flowage and relocating the historic communication tower within the buffer zone to a coastal bank. This has been continued from April 23rd, 2025.
Good afternoon. Catherine Ricks, the Coastal Resilience Director, and here with David and with Mike from Blue Flags. So I know we brought before you the extension of the parking and then the relocation of the tower. We did go to ZBA and they approved the relocation of the Marconi Tower that's out there. So mainly the project is extending 5 spots of the parking that's with outside of the Conservancy District, and then relocating the tower, and then we have the mitigation. So David can speak to more of the engineering of it, and then we can speak to the mitigation as well.
Thank you.
So David Clark Engineering for the record. So since the last time we were here, the plan was vetted with the planning staff and zoning officer, and they made the determination that we can't alter the floodplain. So, so the activities that you see as far as expanding the parking lot has all been reduced so that there's no alteration of any resource area. So technically, all that work is now outside your jurisdiction. So really, the only thing you're reviewing now is the tower move. And we weren't able to reduce the number of trees that have to be removed, so Mike is here to talk about how that's going to get mitigated.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mike Tanis, Blue Flags Design. I'm going to go over a little history and existing conditions here. So originally in 2018, an RDA was filed to maintain and extend walking paths on this parcel. It involved pruning vegetation along existing trails, removing invasive plants, and restoring the project area with native plantings. As of now, the benches, kiosks, picnic tables have been installed, the paths are well maintained, and the invasive removal has been successful. The proposed planting of native species in that RDA has not been installed, but the area is well vegetated with native little blue stem grasses and native plants, notably bayberry, are regenerating and filling in the area. Thick, healthy duff layer in the shaded areas of denser canopy. Invasive plants are well controlled with the exception of 2 areas, one of Asiatic bittersweet and the other of black locust seedlings. I've highlighted those in yellow on our mitigation plan. There are small amounts of shrub honeysuckle and bittersweet throughout the rest of the project area, but continued regular maintenance should take care of that. So as David said, this project is requiring the removal of 10 trees. We're going to replace these with 12 native trees in accordance with your regulations, section 5.01. We are proposing to plant these trees at small sizes due to various factors, including the potential lack of irrigation. Smaller trees experience less stress during transplanting and are more successful at establishing in adverse conditions than larger ones. We're not proposing any additional shrubs or other plantings because as I described earlier. The site is pretty healthy. It has a healthy canopy layer, and the tall grass meadow beneath is both valuable habitat, and it's also attractive and appropriate to the site's usage as a park. So again, we're proposing 12 native trees, small sizes, and as for the disturbed area within the limit of work, after the project, that will be raked smooth and seeded with a mix of native grasses. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Okay, anybody have any questions? Elise?
Having formerly been on the board of the Marconi and worrying about that tower, I think it's a good plan, and I think the planting replacement of trees is logical, and let the growth come and let people keep enjoying that walk back there. I think it's a good plan.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just, while you're having the equipment there, there's no plans on, putting like 10 yards of sand over the bank and shoring up the bank a little bit while you're there? It's,
Not at this
No?
time, no.
no? Okay, thanks, no?
Yeah, just not to quibble with your count, but the 10 trees on the removal plan lists their DBH, and as I count that up in accordance with the regulations, I'm getting 13. Now, I don't want to quibble about that because I take the point that it's a really tight site, and I got the point that you made. I'm just saying that if it's not in compliance, we're going to have to say something in the order to justify that it's going to be, what are you proposing, 12?
12, yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, so it's only one off, but still. I think it's because of that 20-inch oak, which is a 3-to-1, required 3, and the 220s require 2, and everything else is 1. So,
If you want us to add one more small tree.
well, what do you, I mean, you're the expert. It is very heavily, the canopy is healthy, but are you putting them in more or less the spaces that they're taking out those locusts?
More or less, but we're arranging the cedars to provide a little screening from the parking lot. And then the other pines and oaks, we're just kind of scattering them throughout the disturbed area.
Okay, but you're saying, I took it in your letter, that you're saying, the point you're making is that because of the way this site is already vegetated, adding more trees does not confer a net benefit, and in fact, it could be a net negative.
Correct, the site is well canopied.
We'll just put that in, we need to put that statement in there to make that as a finding. I would also ask that you coordinate and talk to the Friends of the Triangle, the people who brought the RDA to us back in 2018. They're the ones who do all the path work, just to make sure that they're heard, and how the thing is done. They follow this pretty carefully, so I'd like to make sure they're a stakeholder that needs to be listened to. Thank you. Good plan.
It is. Anybody have anything else?
Just a quick question. So where's the water come from? The water, the plants?
And then,
At the northwest corner of the large boat parking spaces, there is a seasonal water service there for washing down boats, so they'll be able to work off of that for any temporary irrigation.
will they use those bags? And
Pardon me?
will they use those irrigation bags and fill them up there and put them by the trees so they can, how's it actually going to happen? Because I know that lack of irrigation is a real threat to this.
Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet.
Okay. Yeah. The town has lots
That's
of
a
those
great idea,
bags
the
that they
bags.
use in the park areas, so that might be an option to, if you've got a water source to fill those bags and
Here
put them.
comes Teresa.
Well, those
They're
only work
seedlings.
on deciduous, not so much evergreens, the bags, but.
Yeah, maybe not on the evergreens.
I was going to say the gator bags work on the deciduous trees, but they're not particularly effective for the evergreens. So we're going to have to figure out how to get some kind of a drip irrigation system in there working seasonally. That could be something as simple as, for this size trees and this size site, micro irrigation off a timer. that can be attached to the spigot and still allow the spigot to have, so people can access for
So you can-
water.
You can split that spigot and
We
run
can
part of it
exactly.
on
Yep.
timer. That sounds
Yes,
more.
yeah, and for
that sounds
this,
better.
for this number of trees and the area in which the trees are being planted, it's such a small area, that would be appropriate for this.
Great. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, I think we can go to an order. How soon do you want your order? Yesterday?
Yeah, I mean,
17th?
that would work.
Okay, because we have, I'm not sure. We
I
don't
move
have any
the-
orders yet for the 17th, so that does work.
Okay.
I move that we continue 784 Orleans Road to the meeting on December 17th for an order of conditions.
Second.
Okay, Elise?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
17th, you'll have it. Okay, Bradford.
Next, excuse me. Next up is a notice of intent for 202 Lime Hill Road, Lime Hill 22 Trust, map 12E, parcel 4-B6, SE 10-3746. Proposed elevated catwalk, maintenance of existing path and mitigation. This is continued from October 8th, 2025.
Yes, good afternoon. For the record, Mark Burgess with Shorefront Consulting. We have Blue Flax and, because I forgot your name, and Bill. Well, what's his name? Okay, so we revised the plan. Instead of going to ZBA, we wanted to revise the plan to include your comments, and then we'll go to ZBA. So that we're switching things up a bit. The changes to my plan included the drafting correction for the labeling of the ladder. I extended a cloud for the mitigation area over to the property line. The mitigation area increases from, in my estimate, 932 to 1,217 square feet. The pile material was changed to green heart, and we added the 2 kayak racks to the side of the walkway, and whatever rack they decide, they simply bolt on to the side stringers, and as the commission suggested. And then, I don't remember when I did this, but the public access stairs were removed from the walkway. I don't know if that was in the last revision or this one. I contacted DEP directly, gave them a copy of the plan, and they said that public access can be allowed around the beginning of the stairs, as it's labeled on the plan there. So we don't need the extra stairs in the marsh. So those have been removed. That, for the design plan, that summarizes those changes, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Blue Flax here. So,
That would be Mike.
Mike, I'm sorry.
Blue Flax,
I'm horrible-
yes.
I'm horrible with names.
Mike Tanis from Blue Flags. So our mitigation plan is essentially the same number of shrubs in roughly the same area. So not much has changed. The discrepancy, there's a difference in the square footage, and that's because I'm not counting the path or the stairway, and I've just subtracted that.
I'll take the hit for that.
So, but yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, anybody want to start?
I just wanted to ask you to repeat what you just said. So the square footage in the path and the at-grade stairs is excluded from the calculation of the mitigation area?
Yes, my calculation of the mitigation area is a lower number because I've excluded the area.
And what is that number then? Because that was what I.
954.
954 total. Great. Well, that solves that question. Thank you.
Anybody have any further questions?
The mitigation on the east side of the stairway, there won't be above ground drip in the pathway, right? You're gonna have to go to get to those plants on the east side of the stairway? I mean, what do you do, go underground and then, isn't there planting also on the east side of the stairway?
There is. That was added, because
Yeah.
it was asked for last time.
I can answer that. So we'll just run the main irrigation pipe underneath, and we'll just have it at grade. We don't want to bury it underground. And of course, I know we're going to have this discussion at the end of the hearing today, but right now, it would just basically run and be kind of located at grade and then allow for the drip on that side of the path.
Thank you. Any other questions, Eric? Anybody? Looks like you listened to us.
I have a few things
Okay, good.
to say. So thank you for listening and making those changes. But I continue to have a lot of concerns about this project. I know I went through it all last time about, the vulnerability of salt marshes, the importance of salt marshes, how our job is to protect salt marshes and to make sure that applicants go through the proper process of avoiding, minimizing, and mitigating. So I have a concern at the larger level about where this is and why this is, but I have a number of more detailed concerns. One was the mitigation area, whether it was including that, so that's done. On the materials, you are doing Green Heart. It's a monopile. How many monopiles?
I can tell you in a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
They're shown there in the middle.
12-inch timber, Green Heart.
Did I say 12-inch?
Yeah, it says 12-inch diameter. These are round, I take it.
Yes. No, I have 10-inch on my plan.
Huh.
Should be more than adequate for something like that. Like,
Okay, well, that reduces a little bit. That's
Little
good. I have a question for you, Mark. Did you consider using helical piles instead of timber?
No, I didn't actually, and cost-wise, they're much more, but
How much, much more, or?
they're at least $1,200 to $1,500 a piece to sink them. But, like, what do you end up with? You can't just have, if you have the rod sticking up, it wiggles. So you really need 2 of them to cross-brace them to keep it firm. One single monopile,
You couldn't do a monopile, I don't think, with the helical. You would
no,
need.
the
I get that.
anchors are only 2-inch, 1 or 2-inch square steel.
Right, which is why they have less propensity to disturb the surface of the marsh.
Right, but they're bolted connections, so they'll wobble. And so you need 2 of them, and then
Yep.
then you'd have to brace them. It's kind of 6 and 1/2 does the other.
You think it's, at the end of the day, is it roughly an equal impact, or? I just think about a 12-inch, 10-inch.
yeah.
Thing going, 5 of them is.
Well, like I said, we're splitting hairs here, but you can open up the marsh and squish it, scientific term. You can squish it, so open up a 10-foot hole and just push it down through the peat, and then actually there's no loss of marsh. It just gets compressed a little bit around the piling.
Okay, so that gets me to my next issue, which is installation. So, no jetting of any kind. There was some language in your original narrative that said, if jetting is necessary, blah, blah, and
If.
but this is not,
Yeah, you can prohibit jetting, so.
and we're going to prohibit jetting.
Yeah, normally with little piles like this, you would just create a tripod with either a vibratory or a blow hammer. And you'd make the hole to start them.
Yep.
And then just mechanically drive them the rest of the way in. Somebody might say that they want to auger, so I might ask you about that, but that would be like say a 6-inch, or if they had an 8-inch auger, you would auger down, but then that's the dirt being removed. So if you just want a mechanically driven, I would suggest that we just
How far down do you go with doing that?
through the marsh into
Until you hit the peat layer?
yeah, yep.
And how far into the peat do these things have to go? A couple feet, right?
I think I said 8 feet
8
minimum.
feet. Okay. So, in terms of there's a strong preference, at least I have, for vibratory rather than the bang-bang hammer, just because of the impacts on the critters in the area mostly. So if that's feasible, I'd like to put that in, just make sure that that's.
I can't confirm that because we don't know which contractor is going to be doing it. And vibratory creates noise too, so.
Yeah, but less, it's not as, that, you don't have that, I mean, I'm just going with what
Yeah,
the state says and what the Cape Cod Commission says in terms of their preferences for installations of these, so they know more than we do.
If you wanted to add a condition that said that vibratory is preferred, then that would be our first choice. But again, I don't know who is going to do it and what toys and tools they have to do it.
Okay. We'll put it in that it's preferred and talk about it later
That's fair.
then. Okay. We will use the usual conditions about barge use, 2 hours before and after high tide only, keep it off the, is there eelgrass beds in this? I
Not-
don't think
not
I
that I-
saw any in this area, so you're just worrying about, then there's just the bottoming out on
Right.
the shellfish beds.
Right.
If there are any, it's mapped, I don't know if there are there or not.
There's a contractor that brings in kind of like a, well, he has a rig that he puts on rails, and he's used it to install another walkway to the west. And it creates a board system to drive it to wheel it over the marsh. And that sometimes can be delivered by barge, but it would just be done at the right time. And then that has the pile driver on it, and he just punch the piles in, put it back on the barge and drive away.
So it's a one-day operation?
Again, I don't, I
piles?
would say at least, I'd say 2, because
2
he's got
days?
5 piles to drive.
Okay.
But again, that depends. There's only one contractor that can do it that way.
Yeah,
The
but if he's
others,
available and if
if
it's
he is,
the right price and all that kind
Yeah.
of, I know it's complicated.
the others will more than likely use a tripod.
Okay. Okay, DMF had asked for an opportunity to review Blue Flax's mitigation plan. They put that in their letter. Do you know if that's been
Did they?
provided? There was something in their letter saying they had not seen the mitigation plan and they wanted a chance to review it, so.
I don't recall that, and I don't have that letter with
Okay,
me.
but just check with, make sure that that's what I wrote down, so if that's the case, then
So who was that asked for that?
DMF.
Oh, EMF, all right. Well, they're important.
They are. Okay, well, that's a lot of detail, and I appreciate if you take all that on board. But, you know, I still get caught on this one, on the opening need for the project and where the project is going. I look at your revised site plan, and once again, I am always struck by if that elevated catwalk, and it's not 1.5 to 1, it's 1 to 1, right? So it's 3 feet minimal
To the
separation. We will put-
underlying structural member, yeah.
Okay, so we will put conditions for monitoring the vegetation underneath on an annual basis and providing photographs, and that'll be a continuing perpetual thing.
Sure.
But
Well,
it's,
you could probably get
it's
away with
40
it.
feet as opposed to, you know,
Yeah.
10 or 12 feet if
You
it
could-
had crossed in the first place. And I went back and looked at my notes and remembered what you had said about the complications of people using it and na. And I balanced that against what the state, through DMF and DEP, express a huge preference for, when possible, doing shared access devices like these or structures like these, as well as the Cape Cod Commission continually expresses its strong preference for shared, all for the right reason, to minimize the impact on these really vulnerable marshes. You know, I balance that against potential, possible legal complications of people who don't agree, or, you know, and I think if they've worked it out in other places, that could be worked out here. So I still think it's in the wrong place. It is unnecessary impact where it's proposed to be. At the end of the day, when I balance the difference, the potential danger to a marsh, the damage from people walking through it versus a catwalk, you know, and you get to that point, it's okay so long as it's done with best practices and it's properly done and it's minimized. And that's the piece that's missing here, is the minimization, because now you have a 50-foot-long pathway at the bottom of the bank, at the top of the marsh. I can't imagine what the impact of that might be, and a much longer structure. So
Well,
I just
we'll
don't
add
get it.
in that we want photos too,
Yeah.
before, you know,
Yep.
annually.
Absolutely, you should do that.
Yeah, I would think that any potential temporary impacts would be resolved in a year or less, and then you could monitor it for 3 years. And if everything's cool after 3 years, then, you know it's going to be fine. The other walkways that I've done, easily after at least the first season, I haven't observed any significant negative impacts from the walkway because they were designed and installed properly. But I appreciate everything you
Yeah,
said. We
so
are where
if
we
you're
are.
counting, I'm not going to be able to vote for this, for that reason. So, anyway,
Anybody, Elise?
that's it.
I don't know how many people watched or went to the Select Board meeting last night, but there was a presentation by the Energy and Climate Action Committee on the Salt Marsh project that they're undergoing and have been for years and will continue to do. And I just want to stress that I think it's very important for people to pay attention to that. And it was a really ominous set of predictions, which a lot of times committees like that go in that direction. But the way they described what happens to a salt marsh when you do get in there and change it and put things over it so that there's not the nature helping it, was pretty disturbing. And salt marshes, when they get injured, if you will, migrate upland. And there's not much space to go upland on all of Chatham's coast. So just a cautionary note, in my opinion. And I was against the catwalk and the size of it the last time as well. I haven't decided how to vote yet.
I still have the position that continually walking over the marsh is permanent damage that doesn't have a chance to recuperate season after season. And the result of that damage is more than any potential negative impacts from the properly designed and installed elevated walkway. And we have the data to support that because of other projects that we've done. We absolutely know that creeping through the marsh, and this one has another element of safety because of all the little potholes that are there. Karen and I were on the site, and we had to sort of walk around them so that they exist in other parts of a marsh, but here there's several, so it is a bit of a safety issue as well. But I firmly believe that if people really use that access and tramp through the marsh, it's permanent damage that doesn't get repaired. Plus, now when you're down to the bare soil, now you've got fines running into the water from storm, rain, and all of that. So all of that I see is just bad. So we have a track record of being able to do this correctly and not hurt the marsh. That's the goal for both of us.
I look for the goal to be reached for people to share their catwalks.
Me too.
That's
I would love that.
Not everybody needs their own strip of wood to get out to the water. I
understand.
think the neighborhoods and neighbors need to do better, or it's just not going to be there at some point.
Oh, if I could comment briefly, I've been involved with this form of construction for many years, and the reason for this awkward design is the neighbors don't get along. And so, I have attempted to get people to cooperate, and they raise issues of use, insurance, potential liability, and it's just been completely unsuccessful. And with respect to voting no, certainly you're right, but all you have to do is go around and look at waterfront homes that don't have a catwalk, and see how many of them have a path through the marsh, V-shaped, because they start down, they just walk down, and gradually it deteriorates, so now they have a V shape where there's no marsh at all. And so I would only encourage you to look at those before you think about voting no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Okay, I think we can send this to an order.
No, we have to go to ZBA.
I hadn't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not before ZBA until January 8th, so I am recommending that we hold off until the 14th.
That's fine.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting you.
Nope, that's okay.
I move that we continue 202 Lime Hill Road to the meeting on January 14th for an order of conditions.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Elise?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, Bradford, the next, please.
Next up is a notice of intent for 86 Vineyard Avenue, Cassandra Pyers, map 10D, parcel 49-D92, SE 10-3755, construction of 2 additions and a pool outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, resurface of existing driveway, and repair and replace existing steps to the front door.
Hi, folks. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Flaherty for the applicant at 86 Vineyard Avenue. The property is located at 86 Vineyard Avenue. The property partially lies within the 100-foot buffer wetland resource area, but the property does not lie within any FEMA flood zone. A proposed swimming pool and 2 modest additions are proposed outside the 100-foot buffer zone. This property has been fallen into a little bit of disrepair, so part of the project is the driveway there needs to be resurfaced, preferably with asphalt, but the commission may choose the materials at its discretion. The existing egress from the driveway to the front door are timber ties and in poor shape. New bluestone pavers installed by a professional are proposed for safer access. A detailed representation of the BVW is on file with the Conservation Commission from recent utility work that's been performed on the south side on Smith Street. If you notice on the plan, it says Smith Street Private Way. I believe utilities were recently installed and replantings have been accomplished there. And as a result, it was SE 10-3719 established a pretty solid wetland delineation there, which we confirmed. Soil erosion control remains with the project as it is. It will not be disturbed. The resource areas delineated are consistent with both state and local performance standards. A work limit line is proposed along the south side of the existing driveway, then following the driveway up to the 100-foot offset. The work limit line will then wrap around the extent of the construction area of the proposed pool. A silt fence is proposed, but the commission may require wattles or any other material it so desires. The work limit line will remain in place until a certificate of compliance is issued or the commission deems acceptable. Staging for the projects that are proposed will be on the north side of the property, well outside the 100-foot zone. They're going to extend the driveway to accommodate the construction materials to be brought in, again, outside the 100-foot buffer zone. All building permits required will be applied for during the conservation notice of intent process. It's understood that a building permit, along with any corresponding swimming pool, electrical, and plumbing permits will be required. And the property is serviced by municipal sewer, so there are no upgrade requirements for a septic system. And to finish, the applicant is eager to start construction, and this project will move along expeditiously. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody have any questions, comments? Well, I can tell you that for the replacing of the driveway, the resurfacing, I am going to strongly ask that it not be asphalt, that it be pervious, whether that be stone or shell or whatever. But since you said it's up to us, that's my feeling, especially since some of it is in the NDZ. So that's my first thing. I also have something, Bob's not here, but Bob sent a couple comments, and he would like to see the English ivy close to the wetlands in the NDZ removed.
On the property?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a shed in the NDZ he'd like to see removed.
Okay.
And the vegetable garden that's in the NDZ should only be organically managed, were his comments. Having said all that, now I'll turn it over to anybody who wants to comment.
The driveway I'm always a believer, if it's pre-existing, it should be allowed to be replaced. The area of the driveway that may be in the NDC, do something else with it. My only concern is there's a slope there, so if it's a gravel driveway, it's just gonna be a mess. You're gonna have the stone at the
Well, I
bottom.
wondered if we could have something besides the slope be some,
What about we talked about that pervious concrete?
exactly. There's
With maybe
pervious-
a drain at the bottom, just because it is so, it's fairly steep, and if you have
Yeah.
runoff, it's gonna come, but there may not be enough time, but even for a pervious concrete, but that combination of pervious concrete and some kind of a drain at the low
Yeah.
point would prevent the water from channeling.
Well, if you have the pervious concrete, I don't even think you need a drain.
I mean, it
because
feels like
drains-
it belt and
drains it.
suspenders, but I was just worrying about that, about how.
But if you did
In case it
if you
does.
replaced it with a non-pervious, then yeah, you'd have to probably have a drain at the bottom, but, anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, I agree. That might be- So is just, this piece of the driveway is the only part of this project in our jurisdiction?
Pretty much.
Pool is not, the patio is not, the additions are not. Yeah, there's the line,
We
so.
thought it important to let you folks know that there will be some projects on this,
Appreciate
but that they
that.
are outside,
So we're not going to we're not going to impose conditions on any of the other stuff.
No.
That's it, just this
and
driveway.
that a work
That's what I
line
thought.
limit is required.
Okay. Okay, that's really, all I had was the driveway surfacing, because that's
Exactly.
all we
That's
had to
all I
comment
came up
on.
with.
And if I may, I'm sorry, I believe the driveway will probably be the last thing to get, so they can get the construction equipment in there and without making a total mess of the place.
Are you staging in both driveways then, in both areas?
I think, I'm not sure what the timeline is for the driveway to the north, but initially it'll be the one from the south.
Oh,
then
okay,
they'll
so the southern
stage
driveway will,
Where it says on the northwesterly side of the property will be the staging area
okay.
for both pool and addition
Okay.
materials.
So I don't see an issue going to an order, but I'd love to have need to have a new plan that would reflect that the shed will be removed and that, stating that the vegetable garden will be organically managed and that the ivy in the wetland to the NDZ, from the wetland in the NDZ will be removed. But that won't, slow us down for doing the order,
Okay, understood.
because that's what Bob asked for.
Yeah.
So how soon could you get that?
I'd say within a week or two at the latest.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out,
Also-
2 weeks is the 17th, which is our next, and we need it before that, or else we go to the 14th of January.
I'll light a fire under the draftsman. So, we'll get this, because I know the applicant's eager to begin, so.
Oh, I get that.
So you'll
I
need to
just-
have a revised plan prior to the next meeting where you issue an order of conditions.
Yeah, we just need it before, to make sure that we've dotted our i's and crossed our t's for the order.
So they have it by the 12th.
Yeah,
By December 12th?
12th.
That's the date, the Friday before is when we would need that.
Okay, then we can have a motion, please.
I move that we continue 86 Vineyard Avenue to the meeting on December 17th for an order of conditions.
Second.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Janet,
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
And I say aye. All right, we'll see you on the 17th.
Thank you for your time.
That order will be sent to you the Monday before, so the 15th. And then for your review, and if there are any comments or anything, we usually like to receive those the next day.
Okay. Thank you. Now, do I need to be here for the 17th, or?
If you have
I
no
have any questions or
concerns,
comments.
you can be remote.
Okay, perfect. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, Bradford, the next, please.
Moving on to certificates of compliance. We have the first one for 48 Marshview Road, Ken Brownlee, map 8C, parcel S75 SE 10-3271. This was for construction of an addition on the front of a single-family home, construction of a carport addition with retaining wall and existing fill and parking area, and proposed patio in front of the house. Phragmites removal and mitigation plans. I did go and take a look at this. It looked very great, and I did not have any concerns.
Perfect. Yep. Okay, then we can have a motion, please, if nobody has any comments.
Yeah, I just wanted to say
Oh,
that
I'm sorry,
the
Eric.
mitigation's come in nice. Irrigation's been removed, and they're doing fine.
Yep.
I move that we approve the certificate of compliance for 48 Marshview Road.
Second.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, the next, please.
Just didn't want to hurry it too much. The meetings are going too fast.
You can open the next two together.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Next is certificates of compliance for 24 Windmill Lane, Jeffrey and Jane Chandler, map 16A, parcel H2, SE 10-3283, demolition and reconstruction of a dwelling within land subject to coastal storm flowage and within a buffer zone to a coastal dune. And SE 10-2279, raise and remove existing single-family dwelling and patio, construct new family home with appurtenances. The work was never started for SE 10-2279. The work for 3283 looked great, and I did not have concerns.
Perfect.
Good afternoon, David Clark, Clark Engineering. I believe you have our as-built plan for the project as well as Blue Flax's report on the mitigation. I don't think there's any outstanding issues. We got all the irrigation out, so. So,
We appreciate that. So, anybody have any comments, questions?
Another successful project.
Yeah, this one come out really nice. The mitigation's awesome. It almost looks like like the house was picked up and a new one was put right in its place. It's all natural. It looks like it was when I was a kid in that area. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a really
You did
nice
a great job.
Yep.
Plants seem to be doing well without water, so they're on their own. Looks good.
All right, then we can have a motion, please.
I move that we approve the certificates of compliance for 24 Windmill Lane.
Second.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
And I say aye.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bradford, next.
All right, next is a certificate of compliance for 124 Mooncussers Lane, William and Elizabeth Sorensen, map 10A, parcel H2, SE 10-2905, site improvements including driveway, footpath, and invasive species management. The applicant has requested a continuance to December 17th, 2025.
Okay,
I move that we continue 124 Mooncussers Lane to the meeting on December 17th, 2025.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Elise?
Aye.
Janet? Aye. Paul?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, the next, please.
Next up are the proposed changes to the Chatham wetlands regulations.
Thank you. All right. So there is a subfolder in our meeting for today, and it has two documents. The proposed changes to the regulations. What we've done is incorporated some comments and things that both Greg Berman and the town attorney would like to see included, and that's that bigger part in red. And then really what we did was changing wording from minimal. The reason for doing this is that we are trying very hard, because we're doing pretty well, and we've heard a lot of properties today, and we've been able to send them to orders. So it's to hopefully close the circle of modifying the application process and making our regulations a little more robust to hopefully allow property owners to have their projects heard and approved in a timely manner. There will be another part of this that after this, we approve this, I didn't want to do it both at the same time, but I asked Bradford to look into, because Yarmouth has it, adding to our regulations that after a certain number of continuances, we can recommend that they withdraw or deny. Because we have a property for the next meeting that has been continued like 9 times, and it's from 2024. So we're trying to also stop people from needing to continue as many times as they are, many times because they are missing a part of their application. And so that is the reason for the regulation changes. We're not changing anything as far as, because we're state mandated, you can still hear, 21 days. We're following all of that. And of course, for continuances, the applicant has to request or approve the continuance date. So none of that is changing. So having said that, does anybody have any questions or comments about the proposed regulation changes? And then I'll tell you about the other document. Go ahead, Janet.
So I have a question. In the new paragraph under 5, public hearings on applications for permit. So C, public hearings may be continued as follows. 1, if an application has been formally filed, staff shall place it on the next available agenda only to meet statutory deadlines. Is incomplete, the agenda shall note something's wrong there, something's missing in that.
Okay.
And I think perhaps it might be that shall place it on the next available agenda only to meet statutory deadlines, period. If the application is incomplete, the agenda shall note that the application is incomplete, whatever, fix that. And the commission may continue the hearing to allow submission of missing information, plans, and documents. Does that make sense?
We can, yes.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
fix the verbiage. And we will be reviewing this a second time next meeting, and then hopefully be able to approve it to become effective January 1st, just as our new applications are also January 1st. So I'd like everything to be in sync.
This would be great. This would be a good,
Yeah.
important step forward. So that maybe it was what you were talking about, but it's connected. Things that are continued, if they're continued because they're incomplete, this will stop that process from happening in the
That's
first
what
place.
we hope. And we've
So they won't
seen
be
an
caught up in
improvement.
that.
We've already seen an improvement in the applications that we've been receiving. They are much more complete. Crystal's done a great job of, sort of checking when people come in and saying, where is this? And making sure that they know that we need, a mitigation plan, or have you applied to ZBA? And these are all a part of what we approved last time. The checklist has been, beefed up a bit. So this is more to make sure that our regs are following what we're doing and, in the application process. And we, as I said, have already gone to Greg Berman and the town attorney for their approval. They've given their opinions, and we've incorporated that. So we know legally we are not trying to do anything that's not allowed and can be questioned.
Well, thank you to everybody who's been working on this.
Paul did this.
Yeah.
Paul did the regulation modifications, so thank you to Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, then there's a second document, and that is a guidance document, and this is, it's something that we can give to applicants, and we'll have it on our website. So it's not part of our regulations, it's to help people who want to understand the process. So it's so this is not a part of the regulations, but it will be something that we will share with anybody who is curious and needs to know, and it will also be on our website. So we will review that one as well, one more time, hopefully. And we will have a vote to hopefully approve it at the same time, because even though it's not part of the regulations, I think it's an important process for our property owners.
And that vote will take place on the 17th?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Both. We'll do everything together.
Okay.
So I will move after this meeting, both of these documents over to the 17th for anybody who wants to modify and change tracking on. All right. So there's no need for a motion for that. So next, please.
Next up is a discussion of possible irrigation requirement changes.
Good afternoon. Teresa Sprague with Blue Flax Design. I have a couple of photographs that I'd like to share, and one of them is actually 24 Windmill, which we just did this.
Yes. Okay.
So I just wanted to share these photographs when we had this discussion. The first photograph is 24 Windmill, and then the second photograph is 55 Sears Point, which we've requested the certificate of compliance, and we were waiting to have the irrigation removed. And so the reason that I wanted to show this, and also it applies to the discussion that we had today about the Marconi site. So when I first started doing this 15 years ago, our irrigation for these mitigation plantings was basically a couple of towers with a spigot and a timer set from the Ace Hardware store. And we'd set up a few of these towers with a, and we'd get this overhead water, and that was about it. That was all we had to do. And as these projects have become more and more complicated and more mitigation is required, and we're also dealing with greater stresses in the form of drought, we've now switched our irrigation requirements. So when we do a mitigation planting, we require that all homeowners have drip irrigation for all of their woody vegetation. Trees have to be wrapped, and shrubs have to have irrigation snaked through so that they're receiving an adequate amount of water to get the roots established during the first 3 growing seasons. And so what this really requires is that an irrigation system, not the old micro drip that we used in days of old, or the towers, or the spigot that we could set an Ace Hardware timer on a spigot. These are full irrigation systems. Now in Chatham, since regulations for irrigation have changed, they also require a well installation. So homeowners are being required to put in a well, they're being required to put in irrigation boxes and timers, and literally miles of drip piping, which we then tear out and take to the landfill. Then the other thing that we've been considering recently is how our weather patterns are changing as we face climate change, and the fact that we do now have extended periods of drought. We're still in a level 2 drought. It's taking longer and longer to make sure that plants are adequately established, particularly on sites like 24 Windmill, where we're basically in a dune, and we've got pure sand. It was incredibly difficult to get plants established on that site, even with drip irrigation, because there was absolutely no water pressure down there for us to do that. And we were working off the town water. It was, when we installed that, it was prior to the ban for irrigation on town water. So I'm trying to come to, I'm really trying to find a solution, and that's why I'm asking for this discussion to work with you, because I'm concerned about removing all of this irrigation. I'm concerned about, miles of piping going to a landfill, although David Clark just told me he'd take some and use it up in his property up in Maine, so we're gonna pass some of that on to him. And we can reuse some of it, but to get this out, oftentimes we're just cutting our way through to get it all out. The plants have all grown in. And so I'm wondering if there's a better solution for this. The other thing that's also, more and more is these irrigation systems are costing thousands of dollars to install. It's costing the homeowners, literally thousands of dollars. And I feel better about having the backup of being able to have these irrigation systems in place if we go through an extended drought period, rather than losing half of our plants that are moderately established. So I'm not quite sure. I just wanted to have an open discussion and see if there's some way we could. I know it would be incredibly difficult to regulate and monitor, but if we have these on a separate zone that can be turned off and perhaps even disconnected at the timer or at the irrigation box versus tearing all of this piping out. Then we also get into that discussion of whether or not we're going to leave plastic in the landscape, because that's what our piping is. So it's a conundrum.
And also the water source is still that issue.
It's still the sole source
Some sort of
aquifer.
relief from the town's requirement, and is it bylaw? Where is this requirement from that irrigation systems cannot be connected to town water? I listened to the zoning board 2 weeks ago when they were doing the affordable housing project, and there's a lot of mitigation going in there because they're taking out trees and they're putting in new trees. And at the end of the day, the zoning board required that they put in a well for the irrigation for all of those. And a lot of the zoning members were aghast, saying, but we're in a drought. How can we be saying that, And it's that same problem of how do you keep these alive?
Right.
Minimizing. But they did at the end, they couldn't connect to town water because there's this prohibition on connecting irrigation systems. Even there's no temporary exception.
Correct. In Chatham, that's,
Maybe there needs to be somehow, because it seems to me they're going to the expense of putting in a well for 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
Doesn't solve the problem. It just creates a whole new problem. But I'm with you on what you do about all of this and,
Yep.
Go back to the towers, no?
I mean, the problem is that, again, we warranty our plants, and with the drought situation, with overhead watering and the winds that we have here, it's just not an efficient way of watering. It's not an appropriate way of watering woody vegetation. So that's why we do require the drip irrigation for the woody vegetation for the warranty. Some homeowners choose not to do that, and they say, well, we'll take our chances and we'll spend that money investing in planting new plants. And then sometimes we're out there replacing plants 2 or 3 times before we're coming to you for a certificate of compliance. So, we'd prefer to have a lower mortality rate, and generally with the drip irrigation, we have far less than 10% mortality on these sites, unless there's a plant that's just not happy in a particular site.
Really good. That's
Yes.
way better. So
Yep.
come to my house, fix my garden.
Yeah, so, again, I just wanted to put this out there. I don't think we're going to come to any solution.
Not today.
Not today, but just wanted to put this out there for discussion, and I don't know if there are other consultants on the call, maybe not.
I don't
Or if you've
see any.
heard this concern from other consultants, but just wanted to kind of put something on the table for
Well,
future
it
thought
certainly-
discussion.
It certainly causes one to think about where these mitigation areas are located.
Yes,
And that maybe there's a smarter,
Way.
I mean, we do push, as we should, to keep them as close to the resource areas, but sometimes
Agreed.
that's the farthest and
Yes.
the most difficult to get to, which ends up in these miles of plastic that
Yep.
is either permanently in the ground or is cut up and sent to the landfill, which is the bigger environmental I don't know.
I know, it's challenging. And the one thing that I can say about irrigation systems and permanent, and these are just even for traditional landscapes in upland areas, is that they are far superior to what we were dealing with 15 or 20 years ago. not only with the rain sensors, the Rainbird, but also with soil moisture sensors that operate directly off of your phone. So there's, with technology, we've come a long way. We still are dealing with the plastic in the ground, but what we're not dealing with is the irrigation running while it's pouring outside and running off into the street and down into the,
Well, unless you're one of those homeowners who has it set on a timer no matter what. And
Exactly.
they have it running during downpours, and they have it
Yeah.
running during snowstorms, and.
yes.
What is wrong with, yeah, I know.
But I think most of these systems can even be retrofitted. New systems certainly can be installed using soil moisture sensors. And I think older systems can be retrofitted to support that. Again, probably a lot of those systems that we see running are not in jurisdictional areas. They're not in buffer zones. The thing that I like about the soil moisture sensors is it doesn't matter if it hasn't rained for 2 weeks. If the soil is moist, the irrigation's not running.
Right.
And so doesn't solve the problem of the plastic, but it does at least solve the problem of watering when it's not appropriate.
Well, maybe the thing to do is to start thinking about all of these problems in some sort of hierarchy.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much about how environmentally important they are, although that would be ideal, but how easy they are to be solved, and start with
Right.
the ones that can be solved more easily, and then work your way through it.
Yes.
I think it's going to be an ongoing conversation and project.
Okay. I'd like to get together then with some of the irrigation contractors that we use and sort of see from their perspective, again, like, would keeping a system in place with a soil moisture sensor be a better solution than us tearing all of this out? So that way the irrigation is available in an extended drought period in year 4, if we need it. So, okay.
Eric, do you have
Well-
comments?
Well, I've been in the landscape maintenance business, and I primarily worked in Chatham, and it was a pretty good-sized company, and this is a scenario how it works in the spring. They're here seasonal, they don't come until the end of the spring. They call up the landscaper, get the place cleaned up, pool fired up, and the fertilizing company fired up. The irrigation, everybody is in a hurry. The irrigation company has hundreds of places to turn on. They turn the system on. They don't look to see whether this rain sensor or soil sensor is actually working. The homeowner doesn't want to bother looking on their phone to see whether the moisturizer's working or this is going. They got other things to worry about. It's a nightmare. There's very limited labor. The employees, whether they're from the irrigation, they're there to, you try to tell them to do something, you'll be lucky that they adjust the heads and make sure they're covering everything. They're under the gun, they turn the system on, and that's the end of it. And all you gotta do is ride down the roads in the rain and see all these systems going.
Yeah.
These sensors, it's a feel-good moment when you have the irrigation installed. They say, hey, do you want to have the sensors? And, it makes you feel good. You say, oh, yes, it helps. It's helping the environment. Please install it for the extra money. They last a while, but no one really knows whether they're working or they're not working. And the homeowner's not going to come home and, oh, well, it's raining today, so I'm going to have less out there. They don't have time for all that. They're worried about what they're going to do for the day. The idea is to try to plant things that don't need a lot of water, because this is only gonna get worse, the water issue. It's not gonna get better, and the well sucks from the same place that anything else sucks from, down below the ground. It is trash left in an area that's supposed to be left in a natural state. If water's becoming a major issue, if you can't get things established in 3 years, then maybe change what you put in. Maybe more beach grass or things that don't need so much water, can be understood from us. Doesn't have to be, plants everywhere. But that's kind of how the scenario goes. So you take the irrigation piping out, and yes, you got to throw it away, unfortunately. Maybe you don't have to wrap them so much. I don't know. But again, this is all about power and control. It's a constant struggle with, I was on this committee, 20 years ago, right? Things were much different then.
Yeah.
than it is now. And pretty much, what I see is this board pretty much figures out a way to write up every situation that comes before it. So now we're into a power struggle on, so really what you have, you're getting a continuance of someone's garden. So they have a formal area, they have I feel more sorry for people that didn't do mitigation to get something else. I mean, this isn't something out of the kindness of their heart. They did this to get this, which made everybody whole, right? Now, I have more sympathy for some, very seldom, you get people that come in and they say, okay, I want to do a restoration out of the kindness of my heart, and they didn't do an addition or anything on their property, but we couldn't say, hey, because they did this and they can have because it would be too hard to regulate. Then in my head saying, well, do you have two separate boxes, one for your mitigation area and one box for your formal area? But it really should be brought back to its natural state, because once you leave the irrigation in, then it causes more human interaction in an area that's supposed to be natural when you're finished. So say the irrigation has to be fixed, and you gotta go and you gotta dig this up, and if it's buried underneath, how do you know if there's a leak? You don't even know. So it's running and running and running, and I have a really hard time with this. I know it costs more money to remove this. I don't want to say it, but who's to say that the homeowner doesn't redo it after the COC? I mean, we don't have drones going around in the area. If the homeowner goes and hooks it back up again and re-irrigates, I mean, that would be up to them and their savior. I think it's just, the Conservation Commission has to have something. I mean, we're already getting in the catwalks and this and that. I mean, it just has to have something that it has to. I understand the pain. I have land bordering all this, and I keep it natural, and land that I have. But it's just too much, man. It's just too much. It has to be brought back to its natural state and change the plants that you put in that don't require a lot of water, because it's only going to get worse. I mean, look at other parts of the country. They're putting cactuses in the front yard. I mean, you just got to change the way you do things.
I think I really, what you just said really resonates in terms of, so we require native plants, but there's a whole hierarchy among them, and maybe drought tolerance should be at the top of our list, so that.
Especially in sandy areas.
In sandy, so that the less water they need to start with, the better. And then you can naturalize maybe more quickly.
I know that windmill is an odd case, but in most of these applications we have, it's already a formal house, and they have I've seen what they do. We overlook it. They have the heads. They can adjust from 180, 360 very quickly, and it's mostly connected with an existing property. So they already got the well, and they're adding something, and they're adding a mitigation. This is so rare that they would have to put a well in for a mitigation project. Those are the projects that maybe you might want to consider having overhead temporarily, like beach grass or something simple. In a sandy area, rather than trying to put plants in that are tough to get going, Anyway, I think it's just, it's murky water here. That's it, thanks.
I will say that I have the rain sensor.
Yeah.
Me too, right?
And noticed a couple of years ago, mine wasn't working. And I couldn't figure out, rabbit had eaten through the wire.
Right.
So that also happens, and then an owner thinks, I have a rain sensor, and they don't really.
Yeah,
Like me.
My sensor doesn't work, but I'm here year-round, so I regulate
Yeah.
anyway. I might, 5 minutes.
I didn't even turn mine on.
I'm always
this
constantly
year.
adjusting, and who's going to hire the person that comes around and constantly adjusts these things? It's just not going to happen. They turn it on, and then when the homeowner comes home in the summer, when it's dry, when it's drier, they call the irrigation company, crank her up. More water because it's dry. And the abuse that I've seen in my years, man, I couldn't, they're not really there the homeowners don't want to get into all this stuff, They're thinking that they're hiring the company to take care of it, and there's shortage of labor. It's just a fiasco,
Right.
man, to get all this done. It really is.
But that gets back to what Teresa was saying. Maybe the next thing is to have a conversation and bring in the irrigation companies as well as the restoration and landscape companies for a larger conversation about, how do we tackle this problem?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
I mean, and I don't disagree with anything.
'Cause I think you're right about, it's up to, they don't care.
But the owners of the irrigation
Well,
companies
it's
don't,
up to
don't
me.
are always at your property, that they're gonna send employees, and some of the
Yeah.
employees are there, they know how to turn it on, they know how to run it, they know how to get it fired up.
Look
and
for
they
leaks.
And then they move on to the next house very quickly, because they're under the gun. You got really, you got like 30 days, 60 days at the most to get all these properties fired up, and man, it is getting to be quite something in Chatham to get all these properties fired up.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah, and just to add to the conversation, as far as the drought tolerance, when we're designing, we are always thinking about the appropriate plant for the appropriate conditions. I mean, we're having trouble these days getting beach plum and bayberry, like our two standard back dune species that grow in pure sand, established. And one of the reasons is, and I know you're aware of this, is, when we're bringing plantings in from the nursery, they've been, running on Miracle Grow the whole time, and they're getting watered 3 times a day, and they're getting a dose of Miracle Grow. So we have to wean them off of that, and they go through a shock period, and they look terrible, and, and homeowners are, oh my gosh, my plant died, you need to replace my plant. We're cutting into them and saying, no, they're green, they're gonna regenerate, we just need to give them a little time. So this is a huge balance that we're talking about, and I agree with you 100%. So we're balancing the irrigation that we need to get them off that artificial life support that they've been sitting on in the nursery when they've been in the black pot, lining up with thousands of other plants, and then getting them into the landscape where they're like facing, pure sand and wind and no fertilizer. And they're gonna go through a shock period.
Well, maybe we could do 4 years or something. They
Well,
add an extra
Well,
year.
that puts,
Yeah, you can't do that with regulations and all that.
well, no, I mean, we can modify regulations, but still,
2
that
years
puts.
is quite a while.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, when we're doing these restoration projects, this is another, concern, is that when we're doing invasive species removal, we're not planting for a full season after we do invasive. So now we're already running into requesting extensions, which we currently don't have to do because the state has already done it for us for the
True.
23 to 25. But we'll be back in that, again, looking for an extension to keep the irrigation on 1 more year. And a lot of homeowners, as you, I'm sure, are aware, and not offended by, just want to get this closed out and say, move on with their lives. So, yeah, so it just, again, I was just hoping to have a broader discussion, no solutions. I agree, the plastic is huge. Like, there's nothing we can do about the piping is plastic. So there's, I don't think there's any biodegradable irrigation coming down the pipeline. But if somebody thinks one up, I mean, maybe we got to start working on that.
So I think this is it's a valuable discussion that we need to keep having. And I'm wondering if we could schedule a second time for discussing it for February 11th, because that will
Sure.
be after the new year, and we've dealt with the other regulations and things. And maybe, could you see if some irrigation people
I will
could
absolutely do
possibly be
that.
here?
Yes, absolutely.
I think, does everybody agree? I think that's
Maybe we
a-
could find out if other conservation commissions
Well, I
are
think
grappling with
that
this
gives
and
us
how.
the time,
Yeah.
a couple months, a
ideas are
month and a
out there and
half
how they're dealing
to
with it.
research and
Sharing
then,
information.
have a further discussion and start to figure out what, if anything, we want to do.
Okay, that sounds great. So yes,
Okay,
February 11th would be
So February
fantastic.
11th. So
I will
we
work-
will table this until February 11th, but I appreciate you bringing it to us.
Great, thank
Because
you.
it is a valuable discussion we need to have.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Bradford, on to the next.
Next would be the approval of the minutes for September 24th, October 8th, October 22nd, November 5th, and November 12th.
No, not November 12th. She took that off the agenda. She did not have that one ready.
Never mind.
Oh, good, okay, because I saw that. It's missing
Yeah, but
stuff,
it was
yeah.
missing, and I
Okay.
said to her, where is it? And she said, oh, I took it off, but I think some didn't, either that, well, it's off on my agenda. So, we could do September 24th and November 5th together
Okay,
because
have everybody.
everybody who's here attended those.
okay. Good.
So let's start with those, which would be September 24th or November 5th. If anybody has any modifications to those, speak now.
I did not. do all of-
I went through them, I made modifications
think
to
I
a
made
couple things,
Couple of
but,
small things, and that was it.
yeah. So if nobody has any modifications to those two, we could have September 24th and November 5th together.
All right, I move that we approve the minutes from September 24th, 2025, and November 5th, 2025.
Second.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, October 8th, I was not present, so that one I will abstain, but everybody else, if you have any modifications to that one.
Made it.
Karen, are we talking October 8th?
Yes.
It says Chair Karen Latin called the hybrid meeting to order.
Oops,
Okay, I missed that.
me too.
Me too.
That's because it was about you.
Actually, what it is I didn't read that part because I go to who was present and
Yeah,
not
I know, I just- I-
present,
I
and
jump
then I
right
go
down to
down from there,
present.
so thank you.
Good. Got it.
So
Wish I'd caught
that's
it
been
earlier, sorry.
modified
Good.
and updated. Anything else? Thank you for catching that.
I move that we approve the minutes from October 8th, 2025.
Second.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
And I abstain. So that's approved. Okay, the next one, Janet, you weren't
Yep.
present, so October 22nd, anybody have any modifications? Bob gave me a small modification, which I fixed for him just a little while ago, that just changed the verbiage in 196 Orleans a little bit. Other than that, there were no, I made changes a while ago. All I did was I changed the sentence, Bob asked that only native plants be used to screen the generator, is the way he wanted it written. So I put that in. So, anybody have anything else? Okay, we can have a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes from October 22nd, 2025.
Second.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Janet?
Abstain.
Elise?
Aye.
And I say aye. So that's approved. So we're all set.
Yay.
Bradford. I guess, well, actually, we have to do it.
I move that we adjourn the hearing.
Second.
Okay, Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Elise?
Aye.
Janet?
I'm here. Aye.
And I say aye.
Yay.
We're done.
Hey, hello. You guys are still on mic. You guys are still,